Okay, so like Billy said, my name is Francisco Nunez. I work with the certification unit. I am one of the officers that may review your application once you apply. So any question you have, please hold it till the end, again, because we're being live streaming on YouTube. And if you ask me the question, if someone's watching us, they won't be able to hear the question till the end when we have a microphone going through the audience. Once more, on behalf of the Mayor, Rahm Emanuel, and our Commissioner, Chief Procurement Officer, Jamie Rhee, we want to welcome you guys to this workshop on how to become certified as an M, W, or BEPD. Okay, so what we do, we are the Department of Procurement Services, the contracting authority for procurement of goods and services for the city of Chicago. We work together as a team and with our customers to guarantee an open, fair, and timely process by establishing communication and enforcing superior business practices, okay? DPS is committed to providing information, resources, and tools to assist you in your efforts to compete for City of Chicago contracting opportunities. We accept and review new applications for the certification, annual no-change affidavits, and recertification applications every 5 years. In the Department of Procurement, we're also in charge of the compliance, contract compliance with negotiated contractual MWDBE participation goals. We set the standards for these contracts depending on what kind of contracts, what the goals will be for MWBE as well as DBE, ACDBE participation. So the Department of Procurement, in a sense, deals with the entire process, from becoming certified to putting the contract on the street to having our compliance team making sure that what's on that contract and those goals are being met. Now, when it comes to like the duties of the contract and performance, that's done by the user departments. But when it comes down to making sure that primes are paying and using the minority and women-owned businesses that they put on their bids or RFQs, we make sure that that's happening, okay? And we assist you through two of our websites. First of all, www.cityofchicago.org/procurement and Chicago.MWDBE.com. The Chicago.MWDBE.com is our portal. That's the portal where you're going to go in to fill out any new applications, any no-change affidavits, and any recertification applications. Also, you'll be able to see your active contracts and things like that on that portal, okay? So what type of programs do we have and can you be certified in? So we have MBE, WB, BPD, DBE, ACDBE. MBE standing for Minority-Owned Business Enterprise, WBE, Women-Owned Business Enterprise, BEPD is business owned by person or people or managed by a person with disabilities. DBE is a disadvantaged business enterprise. ACDBE is an airport concession, disadvantaged business enterprise. What are the benefits of becoming certified? So being certified provides visibility to your company. Once you are certified, your company will be published in our directory that we have on our website. For example, if I am a prime contractor looking for a carpentry minority-owned business, I can go into my directory and just type in keywords like carpentry, and then it will show me everybody that's certified with carpentry codes. And it works the same for any industry. Whatever you're certified in, you'll be able to find it in our directory. And again, I'll mention it again, there are minority, women-owned, and disadvantaged business participation goals in most of City of Chicago projects and sister agencies. There are very few times, and we try to shy away from these but there are a few times where there might not be participation goals due to their firms not being enough firms or any firms that can help with a certain project, for instance. But we try to stay away from that, and we definitely love to see minority, women-owned, and disadvantaged-owned businesses participating in all of our contracts. There are businesses in the private sector that seek our certified firms for products and or services. For instance, I'll give you an example. Walmart, Target, all these companies are also looking for, they also have diversity goals. They want to make sure that they are, including the entire community. But, I always tell everyone that certification does not guarantee you a contract. What it does, it gives you a marketing tool. It gives you a marketing tool to become a part of a city or Cook County or sister agency contract, or for you to go out there to other businesses and say, look, I'm a woman-owned business, I'm a minority-owned business, this is the type of work that I do. If this comes up, please support your fellow entrepreneurs, right? Support your fellow small business owners. That's really the key to our certification. Sometimes I believe people have the impression that because they are certified, they will be automatically given contracts. No, we still have to have a strong sales team and a strong entrepreneurial spirit to keep going. This is hopefully just makes it a little bit easier for you guys once you're certified. Okay, so then there is also, the City of Chicago also has a target market program which provides exclusive bidding to certified minority and women-owned business enterprise. This allows certified businesses to take 100% of the contract because there are no subcontractor goals associated with the project. So sometimes when we have smaller contracts, instead of putting it out for bid to anyone, we will specify that this contract's only out for bid for a certified firm. And just so you know, this doesn't happen all the time. And the reason for it is because we also don't want to put a small business in a bind. If we award a contract to a small business who may not have the capability, are we really helping them or are we hurting them? And the next thing you know, you bite more than you can chew, and just like that, everything is turned upside down. But we try to do that as much as we can, but it only happens. It's only available once in a while. Okay. So, in order to be certified, you need to qualify as a part of a group. And these are the presumed groups that automatically qualify for our programs. Would be African American, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, women, persons with disabilities, and obviously some women won't qualify for minority-owned business, and some persons with disability won't qualify for neither minority or woman-owned business. But everybody is entitled to a fair opportunity. If you don't fit these presumed groups of people who we consider to be disadvantaged, you can apply through our social disadvantage affidavit, and it will be, the burden of proof will be on you to prove to us that you have been discriminated against in the past and that has made you socially and economically disadvantaged. It has happened in the past. Very few, for privacy issues, I can't really talk about the situations. But again, the only reason why I stress that is if you don't fall under any of these presumed groups and you feel like you're disadvantaged or socially or economically, you can submit an affidavit of social disadvantage that will then go through our affirmative action board, and they will approve or deny. One more time, for those of you that came in a little late, we're holding the questions till the end because we're being streamed live on YouTube, and they won't be able to hear the questions, okay? Okay, so then the next thing is we also need you to be a local business. According to our definition, a local business is considered a place that has whose principal place of business and majority of full-time workforce is located in the six-county region, which we refer to, which is Cook, DuPage, Kane, Lake, McHenry, or Will. You have to be in one of these six counties. If you are outside of these six counties, you are not considered a local business, so you will not qualify for MBE, WBE, or BEPD. Now, DBE and ACDBE is a federal program. So in order to qualify for this, well, you just have to be within in the state of Illinois. But we are not the only people that certified DBE or ACDBE. We have other firms that do it as well. Illinois Department of Transportation, PACE, Metro, and CTA. So those four agencies also have the capabilities of certifying you as a DBE or ACDBE. And to be honest with you, once you're certified with one, you're certified with all. Now, if you want to get certified in a different state, then you've got to go through a different application through each state. Okay, another requirement of this information is 51% of the company must be owned, controlled, and managed by a minority woman, persons with disability, or socially or economically disadvantaged individual. What this means is just because I'm a minority man and I get 51% ownership of a company, and then I have my best friend since my childhood who doesn't qualify for the program running the company, my company won't qualify for the program. I have to be the one that runs the company. It has to be the individual that qualifies for the program must be the person that runs the company. Not just runs it, controls it, manages the day-to-day operations. And these are the big things that we look at when we are reviewing any application. You know, we've had instances where you have somebody that's 75% owner, and they qualify for the program, but they're not in charge. They're just per se investors in the company. They won't qualify for the program because of that. Okay. So other standards that we have what we call a gross size limit. You cannot be what we consider an established business. Gross receipts may not exceed 37.74 average over 3 years for non-construction companies. What does that mean? That means that if I'm a consulting company or any type of company that has nothing to do with construction codes, my last 3 years, adding the gross receipts for my last 3 years and then dividing them by 3, it cannot exceed the 37.74 million. If it exceeds them, we consider you an established business, and you don't qualify for the program. The program it's targeting smaller businesses, right? I mean, it's a big number, 37.74. It's a pretty big number. Now, if you are a construction company, then you're subject to SBA size standards. The Small Business Administration publishes size standards for small businesses almost every year, but not quite. Sometimes if there's not a major change, they won't publish it again. But this will determine your construction codes. So just for your reference, anything that we consider a construction code would start with the following 3 numbers. Anything that starts with 236, 237, and 238, we consider a construction company. We've had instances where, for instance, we have people who are HVAC contractors. They consider themselves heating and air conditioning guys, right? They don't consider themselves construction workers, but according to the NACES codes and the codes that we use for certification, they would fall under construction company. So they would have to follow the SBA standards. Now, SBA standards for construction range from 15 million to 36.5 million. It all depends on what you do. For DBE, the size standards are a little bit different. These are, again, guided by federal regulation. And the size standard is no company will be DBE certified if they averaged 23.98 million over the last 3 years. Any company that's above 23.98 million over the last 3 years will not qualify for the program. Or if there's companies whose SBA standards are lower than 23.98, the lower SBA standard dictates. So for instance, I'll give you an example. Architecture firms, 7.5 million is the SBA standard. So if an architecture over the last 3 years averages $9 million in gross sales, they will not qualify for the program, even though they're under the other limit of 23.98. Now we will talk about ACDBE. ACDBE is the certification that applies for anyone that wants to open a concession in an airport. Now that one across the line, anybody that's certified as an ACDBE follows the 56.42 million size standard. Everyone, there's very few exceptions like banks, car dealerships, and car rental places that follow under a different type of SBA standard, but we're not going to get into that one too much right at this class, okay? Let's see. How to become certified? Yes. And then, so now we're going to talk a little bit more about what we call a personal net worth statement. Personal net worth statement would have to be filled out for some certifications. When it's in regards to minority and women-owned business enterprises, it only applies for the construction companies. Only applies for construction companies. And again, construction companies are any code that starts with 236, 237, 238. If you apply for a construction company, you have to fill out what we call a personal net worth statement. This is an evaluation of all your assets and all, anything that you have available. Currently, our limit here at the City of Chicago is 2.25,250,598.49. So if you fall under that, you qualify for the program. If you fall at that level or above, you do not qualify for the program. And again, I'll stress it one more time, but that's only for construction companies. Now, if you're applying for DBE and ACDBE, it applies to all codes, and the standard is $1.32 million. So it's a little bit lower. It's a lot lower than our city requirement, especially since it applies to all codes. The calculation of personal net worth excludes the value of your primary residence and interest in the firm. So if I'm applying for certification and I live in a $600,000 house, that's going to be excluded from my personal net worth statement. And say my company's worth $1 million, that $1 million is not going to be counted towards your personal net worth because it is interest that you have on the company that you're certifying. Okay, it's all other assets. Okay, so every application must be submitted electronically and online. And again, we're going to go through our portal that I gave you earlier, chicago.mwdbe.com. Paper applications are no longer being accepted. We'll return them. Well, actually, you know what? Let me rephrase that. There's only one type of application that we accept in paper copy. And that application is when you go through our outside certification. And the outside certification you can only apply through is if you're already certified with the Chicago Minority Supplier Development Council or the Women's Business Development Center. Women's Business Development Center. So if you're certified with either one of those two entities, you can go through our outside certification. But keep in mind that if you go through our outside certification, you can only apply for the one that you're certified in. So if you go through the Chicago Minority Supplier Diversity Council, you can only apply as a minority owner. Even if you're a woman, you can only apply as a minority through the outside certification. So you would have to go through the regular way to apply for a woman. And if you are certified with the WBEC, then you can only apply as a woman, but not as a minority. Even if you're a minority woman, you can only apply as a woman. It's a little confusing, but I always like to clear that up because people that apply through the outside certification assume that you're going to get both certifications. And there's reasons for that we're not going to really get into because there'd be a conversation for hours about why we can't accept it. So keep that in mind if you go through the outside certification. There is a $250 fee. Make sure that when you send in the fee, it is a money order, cashier's check, or certified check. We do not accept company checks, and we do not accept our personal checks, or especially not cash. And then for DBE, ACDBE, or BEPD, we have no fee. So there's no fee for those three. Please be sure that whenever you do submit your application, you submit it with all your supporting documentation. Not having everything we ask for is the biggest problem, and it's the biggest reason why we can't finish our review in time. It's very important that you guys submit everything that you can whenever you can, okay? Whenever you do apply. So what is going to be needed from you when you apply for certification? We're going to need your contact information. We're going to need, and contact information is very important. You guys wouldn't believe how many times we get applications and we can't get a hold of anyone. We'll try to call, we'll email, and no one. So please, and if you submit an application and your phone number changes, that's fine. Just give us a call and let us know. That way we have it on record and we can change it. Or you can actually even go back in there and change your phone number and email address yourself. Make sure that you tell us what type of application you're seeking. We've had minority women who apply and they only click minority owned. So we're only reviewing for minority owned. You might have a reason why you don't want women owned. Or you might be applying for women owned and you might have a reason you don't want minority owned. We don't know that. So please always be sure that you click on whatever you're applying for. Me personally, I always call and ask. If I have a minority woman that only clicked that they want to be a woman-owned business, I'll call them and ask them, like, hey, you don't want to be a minority-owned? And, sometimes they've told me no. Some people won't. I don't know. But, so just be sure that you let us know what you want. If you are applying for BEPD, make sure that you submit a Schedule G. The Schedule G is submitted to the Mayor's Office of People with Disability, and they are the ones that determine whether you qualify for the program or not. We at our office are not, we don't have the capabilities or the knowledge to make those type of determinations. So just make sure that you guys follow that extra step. We're going to need your ownership information. We're going to need employee information. By employee information, it means all your employee information. So we're going to want to see the W-2s of all the employees you had at the past year, and maybe the pay stubs of the last 2 pay periods for all of your employees. We're going to need your facility information. We want to see an executed lease if you don't own the building, and if you do and you're leasing it to yourself, execute a lease of work. Or, a bank statement or a mortgage statement showing that you're the one paying the mortgage, or a tax bill. What suffice there. Financial information. Now, financial information is very, very important. We're going to need all your financial reports for the last 2-3 years. Now, some small businesses won't have financial reports. I mean, it's an extra burden for you, you're just starting. So we'll understand that. Talk to the officer that's reviewing your file and let them know, and I'm pretty sure they'll be okay with that. If it's a good enough reason. Now, if you're making $7 million a year and then you don't have financial statements, it's going to be a little weird. Licenses, current licenses. for applicants and businesses. There are certain businesses that require special licenses. For instance, if you're going to be an electrical contractor, you need an electrical license. Now, sometimes it will fall on the individual, and other times it will fall on the company. There are certain licenses that an individual needs to have. For instance, individual mason license, or say a real estate agent. They need a personal license as the owner, an engineer, an architect. So make sure that you have all the necessary documents, licenses, to legally operate in the state of Illinois or the city of Chicago. Now, if you're based out of the city of Chicago and you don't have Chicago city licensing, that's okay. You don't need to get it. But if you apply for a contract with the city, you will need it anyway. But we understand that sometimes other entities, other government entities, rely on our certification for their diversity goals. So if you're located in Fox Lake, and Fox Lake is requiring this type of information, but you don't have none of our licenses, it would be very understandable if you just explain to it, like, look, we just do our work in Fox Lake. We're not interested in the city of Chicago, but Fox Lake is requiring us to have this type of certification. We'll understand that. So again, the theme here is make sure that we stay in communications, that we're very clear on why or why not you don't have certain things. One of the big things that we do is we look into the background of the owners. We look at their resume to see what kind of experience they've had in the past. What makes them experts, or what makes them capable of doing the work that you're going to do. The city wants to make sure that you can do the work before they certify you. And the reason why we want to know that you can do the work is because it shows that you are in control of the company. You're not depending on anyone else. Okay? And then we want to see what kind of professional associations you're with. So if I'm I don't know which one to, like, I don't know specifically, but if I'm not an architect, would I be able to be part of the Architects of America? I don't know, maybe, but that's kind of like the things that we want to see. We want to see the list of equipment that you have. What type of equipment do you have? Having equipment will definitely help demonstrate that you've done the work in the past. And your leases. What type of leases do you have on equipment? What type of leases do you have on properties? What type of leases do you have on anything? And the reason why this is important is you're not going to put your name on something that you don't control. Now, if the name of someone else is on all this information, it just shows us that maybe this other person has a little bit more interest than you want us to believe. Don't get me wrong. None of this is set in stone. It's all part of the review process. There's no black or white. There's a lot of gray area. And that's why us as officers, we have to make sure that we keep in mind the goal here. And the goal here is to help minority-owned companies. But the reason why we're so strict on looking at these applications is to protect you guys, the minority owners, the small business owners. Because what's the point of having this program if we're just going to be lenient and let anybody get their certification, right? That's the reason why we are so strict, and we look at all these things. Okay, we're going to look at your previous contract information. Now, I always laugh about this because I remember there was an application that I've had in the past. Applications where I get these contracts with small company, 2 employees, and they sent me a $3 million contract that they had. It was a huge construction contract. I was like, wow, like this is good, right? So, I'm like, can you send me the copies of the checks that you got after you finish this contract? They're like, oh, well, hold on. I don't have them. Oh, you know what? I sent you the wrong contracts. I'm like, well, send me the right ones. And there was no right ones because there was no contracts. So, and the only reason why I tell you guys this is because it happens a lot. People try to send us information that is not true and that is bogus. and we will be able to tell. We do this every single day. We'll be able to tell. And then we want to see them that they're recent. So we don't want to see things from the past. We want to see the last 2 years. We want to see invoices, purchase orders that you have had in the past. And again, all of this, it seems like a lot, but it's worth it, especially if you have the contractors. Now, another thing that I want to say before we move on to the next thing. If you're applying for certification, apply as soon as you can. Because we get a lot of companies, and in a high percentage, I can't give you an exact figure, but a high percentage of companies apply for certification once they have an opportunity. And the certification process does not happen overnight. I'm telling you that right now. It takes between 90 and 120 days. And that is if you have most of your information in on time. Once I'm calling you for information, and I got to wait 20 days for you to return the information, which is fine, then I got to review it again. But in the meantime, I'm already reviewing someone else's information. So you don't go to the back of the line, but you're not my next priority at that moment. So then I review the information you sent me, but now I need some more information. So that's going to delay the process even more. So make sure that you apply for certification. If it's something you want to do, apply for it now. You know what? I know $250 can be expensive for some small businesses. I understand that. But, the worst thing is to not pay those $250, then an opportunity comes out, and then you submit your application, you pay the $250, and you lose out on the opportunity because you didn't give enough time to process this application. Okay, so that's just my 2 cents, my advice to you. And me as a certification officer, if small businesses call me and tell me, there's this opportunity, I do my best to try to help them out. But if I start reviewing even if I skip people and review their application next, and they're missing information, there's very little I can do. So that's why just give yourself time, get it done, and you're good to go. So what type of businesses qualify for this program? If you're a sole proprietor, you pretty much just have an assumed name certificate, you qualify for the program. If you have a general partnership, you and your partner, there's no legal entity besides the partnership agreement that you both have. That's good, but also for that one, we need to have the agreement between you and your partner, and we need to have an assumed name certificate as well. We have limited partnerships, which is pretty much the same thing, assumed name certificate, and we need your agreement with your partner. And all these 3 examples that I just gave you are examples that you don't have to really register with the state of Illinois outside of getting your assumed name certificate. So you won't have to incorporate or file any articles of organization. Now, if you file to be if you are a corporation and you incorporate with the state of Illinois, obviously you guys know that the corporation is treated as an entity and separate from its stakeholders. Shareholders, and it allows you to invest in the business without being liable for any of the debts in the business personally. Okay, but if you are if you are a corporation, part of the application we're going to require you is to send us. Make sure that your company is in good standings with the state of Illinois, your articles of incorporation, certificate of incorporation, your bylaws. Copies of all stock certificates, front and back, even the canceled ones, and we need your minutes that you have either every year or whenever you do all your special meetings. It doesn't matter. We need a copy of all of them. Now, if you're an LLC, we're going to need your operating agreement and your articles of organization as well. And also, please make sure that you're in good standings with the state of Illinois, because we do check this. Okay, so now you have your legal entity that is formed, you're good to go, you have all the other information we spoke about. So now we're going to review, you submit your application, you submit the fee. Now there are certain industries that will require a little bit of a different, a few extra steps. And the city of Chicago wants it to be clear with our rules on suppliers, okay? According to the rule on suppliers for the city of Chicago, suppliers are defined as a supplier must be a regular dealer, which is a firm that owns, operates, or maintains a store, warehouse, or other establishment in which materials, supplies, articles, or equipment are bought, kept in stock, and regularly sold or leased to the public in the usual course of business. So what does that mean? That means that if I'm a supplier, I have Nunez Supplying Company, and you walk into my store and say, you know what, I want you to give me 5 gallons of paint, because I'm a paint supplier. I have to be able to walk to the back and get you the paint that you're looking for. Okay, that's what a supplier is according to the definition of City of Chicago. You have to have your own inventory. Now, granted, if you come into my office and you say, I want 1,000 gallons of paint, I may not have 1,000 in stock, so that's understandable, right? Then I'll have to contact my contact, the manufacturer, whoever I buy from, and ask them to bring me more. And then I will be able to supply you with all the quantity you need. So that's a little different. We understand that. Now, a distributor is distributors are firms operating. So firms operating as a distributor are identified as having a direct relationship with a manufacturer to distribute the goods and products within a specific territory or region. The goods and/or products are not available or sold to the general public. So we have a lot of distributors in the city, you know, and there's certain industries that only will have distributors all over the place. If you are a distributor and you have a distribution agreement with a manufacturer, you are certifiable. You can be certified. That's not a problem. Now, if you're a broker, firms acting as brokers are not eligible for certification as an MBE or WBE. Now, you are still eligible for certification as a DBE, but not as an MBE or WBE. Again, remember, DBE is regulated by the federal government, and WBE is regulated by city council. A person or entity that fills orders by purchasing or receiving supplies from a third-party supplier rather than out of its own existing inventory and provides no substantial service other than acting as a conduit between his or her supplier and his or her customer is a broker. This happens to us a lot. People, be service brokers. You know, sometimes it's profitable being a broker, but for city purposes, you cannot be certified as an MBE or WBE. There was a huge problem with this in the past, and that's why the city took these extra steps to prevent this from happening again. Okay, so after your application is submitted, it could take we try to keep it from 60 to 90 days from the day we receive all documents. So if we have to come back to you for more and more documents, the clock technically starts all over again. We try to get them out as soon as possible because we know that you guys want to move on with your life and forget about certification, right? But every year you're going to visit us, and every 5 years you're going to visit us a little bit longer. But if you invest the time and do it correctly the first time, that's going to save you a lot of headaches in the future. And then, okay, so make sure that you check your application, make sure you have all documentations, because the documents are going to be thoroughly reviewed by us, okay? If approved, your certification will be valid for 5 years. At the 5-year period, you will submit a recertification application, which will be a shorter version of the new application. With that being said, every year, you will still have to be Every year you still have to be submit a no change affidavit. The no change affidavit is a legal document that you submit to us saying if there was changes to your company or not. If there was no changes to your company, and you're pretty much telling us it's exactly the same as when I originally got certified, that'll be quick. We'll process those quickly, okay? Now, we talked about this a little bit. So the expedited process, which is considered the outside certification that I was telling you guys about earlier, is it's if you're, we recently added the Women's Business Development Council, so it's not on here, but if you're certified with any of these two, you go through the outside application. And the reason why the outside application can be a little, it can be attractive is because it requires a lot less documentation. And the reason for that is that we are basing our decision. We know that we are trusting that the certifying agency did their due diligence and determined whether you can or cannot do the work already. Okay. Now, maintaining certification. All vendors must submit the no change affidavit, which is what I was speaking to you about. You must notify our certification and compliance team whether there are changes. And again, every 5 years, you're going to send a recertification. Now, let's say you've already got certified, and you're like, dang, or say within the next 3 years, you develop a new skill, you're starting to get new contracts in a different code and a different industry. You can submit what we call an expansion request. Now, the expansion request, you will be very thorough in letting us know what codes you're asking to expand into, and you will send us all additional all additional information. Our certification is accepted by all of our sister agencies. By sister agencies, we mean Chicago Public Schools, Cook County, Chicago Park District Public Building Commission, Chicago Housing Authority, Chicago Transit Authority, City Colleges, Metropolitan Pier Exhibition Authority, which is Navy Pier, and the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. So all those entities will be able to accept our certification. Now, top 10 reasons why people get denied, okay? Questionable ownership and control. You're not able to demonstrate, again, that you're in full control of your company, or how did you acquire your company, things like that. Unclear description of critical function, who is responsible. So if I have a construction company and all my life all I've done is tile work and flooring, and all of a sudden I want to be certified as a sewer construction company, I have no experience doing that. Oh, well, look, I have my foreman. He can do it. That's not how it works. I have to be able to do it. The question I always ask everybody, if all your employees walk out on you, would you be able to do the work? Whether it takes you a million years or not, would you know what needs to happen to get that job done? That's my rule of thumb with that question. Okay, also, when on the new applications, we always want to make sure we know where the originally money that you used to start the company came from. So if you haven't started the company, or if you have, start looking for that. A lot of people use their personal savings or something like that, so they can provide us a copy of a canceled check from their checking account and things like that. Okay, we want to see, do you have a second job? Now, second job is okay in certain industries. So if I'm a consultant, IT consultant, and I work for Apple in the morning, but then when I go home, I see my clients, that's understandable. But if I'm a construction company, and during the day, I'm a foreman for Walsh Construction, so when am I running my company? Right? Very simple. So it all depends on the industry. The company is not located within the 6-county region, which we discussed earlier. Point of contact did not respond to the request. So again, make sure that you update your information whenever needed. Inconsistencies with the firm name among various documents. I've received applications where some documents say LLC, other documents say incorporated. Then this company has this ownership, this company has that ownership. So make sure you keep your companies together. And then problems with contracts: incomplete, missing, not signed, not executed, or no correspondence, proof of payments, things like that. Required documents are not attached or no explanation is given, as why documents are not available. So again, there's going to be instances where documents are not going to be available, such as tax returns, right? If you started your company in 2014, but we want tax returns from 2012 on up, and you tell us, well, look, I started my company in 2014, so I only have 2014-15 taxes. No brainer, understandable. Now, if you've been in business for 30 years and we're asking you for the last 5 years of tax returns, and you say, well, I don't have them, that's not a good enough answer. There has to be a really good reason why you don't have them, and you have to be able to prove that the reason you're giving us is correct. There's been very few companies that have gotten away with not giving us the information, but it's because we've determined that there was a real reason why they don't have them available. So then we just go straight to the IRS, get transcripts or whatnot. But transcripts are normally just to double check that the information you gave us is the correct one. Okay, so we talked about tax returns. Okay, so now where can you go for help if you need it? You can come visit us here at City Hall. We're located on the 8th floor, room 806. You could call you could call the DPS phone number 312-744-4900, and it's going to give you 3 options. Make sure if you're calling for certification to choose the certification option, which I believe is option 1. And then we also have a consultant located in the BACP office, and she is in room 800. Her name is Stephanie Edmond. Stephanie can actually help you more in depth in filling out your application. We cannot, because it's a conflict of interest for us. We're the ones that are going to be reviewing it. We don't want to be a part of you guys. We don't want to be a part of you guys filling it out. So Stephanie's number is 312-744-1266. And there's also assist agencies out there that can help you with all this stuff. But we don't recommend a particular assist agency, but we do have one on our website that you can look up. With that being said, it's a lot of information in 48 minutes. Now we're going to go into questions. If you have a question, raise your hand. Ms. Lara will come to you with the microphone, have the question to us, and I'll be able to answer it.
Hi, my question is, I've been in business for 17 years. I do training. Most of my training happens in another state. I'm a professional speaker. As far as my proof of funds, my bank no longer exists. It was LaSalle Bank, bought by Bank of America.
Right. So that's very understandable, and that's something you're going to have to explain to your certification officer. Now, because your operation is very simple. You're self-employed. You work by yourself. I don't foresee you having a lot of employees if you ever did. So I mean, it's very explainable. Now, the problem comes into when you're a construction company and you started 3 years ago, and you can't come up with the proof of where the money came from. That's where the issues lie. We understand that, if you're in business 40 years and you've never been certified, we understand that it's going to be very difficult to get those documents that show. But then you could give us all your corporate minutes and all that stuff. So there's other ways to look into it and verify that everything's good.
Thank you.
You might have covered it earlier, but I actually have 2 questions. One, besides tax returns and the proof of your business structure, what else do you need?
There's going to be a lot of documents that are going to be needed. The good thing is that the website where you're going to fill out the application will guide you step by step. But basically, you're going to need all your personal contact information. You're going to need the information, all your financial information for your company, and all the information on you personally, on your experience and background, the licenses, insurance, and things like that.
Okay. And the benefits to getting
So the benefits of getting certified, it's like I said earlier, getting certified does not guarantee you a contract. It guarantees you visibility on our website, and it's a marketing tool more than anything. It's a marketing tool where you can go out there and you can, let companies even in the private sector know, look, I'm a minority-owned, minority and women-owned business. Why not help a fellow, small business owner and things like that? So at the end of the day, and I always tell everyone, it's a marketing tool. It does not guarantee you any contracts, but it does help you. It does help you market yourself a little bit better. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and one more question. Is this the same certification as the one through the SBA?
No, this is not the same certification as SBA. Now, one thing about certification, which is very strange, well, I don't know how other entities or how other government agencies do it, but the city of Chicago does not accept any certification. The only certification the city of Chicago accepts is ours and Cook County's. So even if you're certified with the state of Illinois or any other entity, we will not accept it unless you're certified as a DBE with one of our 5 certifying agencies. And those agencies, again, are CTA, PACE, METRA, Illinois Department of Transportation, and then us. So that there's five members of the Illinois Unified Certification Program.
I only have one employee. I'm a construction and plumbing company. I'm a licensed city plumber, so I'm trying to basically certify, but I only have one employee. So
Right, and that's very understandable. We have actually general contractors that only have one employee, because we understand that small business can sometimes uphold an entire crew at all times. So we know that, especially when you're a signatory to the union, you can have your own company and then you get a contract. So now you call the union, and then they'll send you some workers, things like that. We get that, so it's understandable. And remember this, remember that you know your industry probably more than most of us in depth. So in depth, not that, in depth. So we're going to rely on you to guide us in the right direction, but then we will do our due diligence. And we see so many applications, a lot of times we kind of will become familiar with some industries and others. Sometimes, the other day I reviewed an application on fuel, on big fuel company, and I knew nothing about it. And so it's always challenging for us as well, and that's why it takes long. That's why it takes us a while. We need to do our research on the industries as well. And just so you know, our buying plan, which is the forecast of all city. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, upcoming contracting opportunities.
So upcoming contracting opportunities, on the last page, on the cover, it has the assist agencies that the city of Chicago, the latest list of the city of Chicago assist agencies. They can help you with your certification. We don't know if there's a fee. We don't recommend one over the other. That's just for your benefit, that there's people out there that can help.
oh, you know what? I had a couple more. Okay, when you're looking for faculty information for getting certified, it has to be a commercial space that we're in.
No, okay, so there's certain industries that we don't require facility to be a commercial space. We know that, again, some small businesses you can run from home, and that's completely understandable, including general contractors and construction companies. If you go to my dad's house, you go to his basement, he probably has more tools than some construction companies that I've visited. And so could he run his own construction company from home? Absolutely, and that's very understandable.
Okay, and last one, if you said we don't have the taxes and some of the pertinent documents that I need in order to get certified, we can just talk to you about certain things like.
Well, what I do personally, if somebody can come up with certain information, I'll ask why can't you, and then you'll give me your explanation. And what I do, and I do this just to make sure to check my train of thought, I always ask either one of my colleagues or somebody that's been doing this longer, and have a sit down with them, sit down with my manager, and explain the situation. And I want to hear their opinion as well. Now, if there's a consensus that that just doesn't make sense, then that makes it a little bit easier for us as a team to make a determination, and me as an officer to put my stamp of approval behind it. But again, remember, we're not here to prevent you from getting what you need to succeed. We're here to protect you, that the companies that are seeking certification are legitimately being run by small business people that qualify for the program. That's pretty much the main thing. We're running out of time. We have time for one more question, but I'm going to stick around here so you could come directly to me and ask me that question.
Okay, this kind of dovetails off this question. If you are a brand new business, what if you don't have some of the contract information?
Okay, so the contract information makes it easier for us to understand and to see definitely that you have the experience and that you have done the work before. But we also understand that new companies are not going to have contracts or certain information. So it just makes it a little bit more difficult for us to make that determination. But that's why we have various forms of looking for that experience. So contracts is not the only way we do it. But if you do have zero gross receipts for a long time, we will ask, well, what's the point of the company if you're not doing business, right? Because part of our regulation is to have a viable entity, and a viable entity is one who does business. And if you have zero gross receipts for a very long time, that can be cause for denial, just because there's no activity.
Okay, and this one is quick, I hope. Assume name certificate, where would you get that?
Okay, so anything when it comes to establishing a legal entity with the state, you got to go with the state of Illinois. The state of Illinois Department of the Secretary of State are the people. They have a division for corporations and a division for businesses. That's who will handle any of that information. Okay. With that, I would like to thank everyone for coming out. Anybody who, on our YouTube channel that is watching, everything will be posted online, so you can come back to the archives and listen to everything I've said. My name is Francisco Nunez. I am a certifying officer with the city. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to call us or come visit us. We're here to help. And again, thank you for everything.